know that privacy always comes up. People always talk about it. But I guess I keep going back to my same point, which was I don't see people like with pitchforks and the torches going down to complain to Jeff Bezos that Amazon's collecting massive amounts of data, or T-Mobile and Sprint and all these are mapping our locations as we move around. I just don't see it. I mean, that probably raised nobody's interest for the most part. That article that you just pulled up, and I guess in part it's because we become kind of used to it, become accustomed to it. So fine, but what should we be worried about? Well, I tell you what we should be worried about mostly is state-sponsored activity by countries whose interests almost never align with ours. Now, it would include China, certainly includes Russia, includes Iran. The shit that they're doing. China has a policy, information domination, right, which means they've determined that the next war, the next modern large-scale war, is going to be won by whoever has control over information. So where are they putting all their resources? China knows that they're not going to build a military that's going to be able to reach around the globe for the most part, although they're beefing up their resources. What are they doing? It's cyber and it's space. Right? So I know a lot of people were kicking the president in the ass and laughing about the Space Force because it is funny, right? But the uniforms would be amazing. But they talk about this. But China honestly believes, and is putting their resources into cyber and to space. And what does that mean? Well, if their anti-satellite technology that they've been developing and working on and continue to work on, the whole point of that is to take control of communications and surveillance abilities, whether it's ours or our allies, in the event of something major that happens.
So they would have the ability to shut off our satellites?
Yeah. And if you do that, then what does that mean? Well, it means you're blind, right? And we're all suddenly walking around with compasses and maps, trying to shoot an azimuth and figure out where the hell, the target is.
So China is currently developing that, or they have developed something that disrupts
satellites? They're working
on
it now. Yeah, they're working on it now. They developed some of it. They're working to get the next generation. It's like every nation that has the resources and ability understands that and is doing the same. It's not like we're not.
Right. What is their excuse?
They don't have an excuse. They understand. They have the right to do it. I mean, it's not like they.
Right. As long as they don't use it in an illegal way, they have the right to develop the tech. It's like
there's no treaty that says you can't develop anti-satellite technology, right? There's the START treaties, there's the nuclear conventions that we have with Russia, which is a whole other interesting topic because we're right now arguing with the Russians over the latest nuke agreement that took place some time ago. It's coming up for renewal sometime soon, a year or 2 years from now, and the Russians have been cheating on a previous agreement, and so we're, now they try to say we're cheating on the new one, and so that's an interesting thing to be watching. But the point being is that there's conventions that try to, control the numbers for warheads or for delivery mechanisms, missiles or submarines or whatever, bombers, but not for this new world, cyberspace. The Pentagon's still trying to figure out what a war means in cyberspace.
Right.
How do you respond? What's the threshold? And then what's an appropriate response? And so maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll start having these discussions and create treaties that will allow that. But right now, from China's perspective, again, not to beat on China, but I'm much more concerned about China for our national security. They're a much bigger concern than Russia is. Russia's punching above its weight. And Putin's a dick, no doubt about it, right? And they're doing what they always do, which is meddle in democracy. That's been their methodology ever since they've been around.
Yeah.
But that's small potatoes. They've got the GDP of a small European country, and when the oil prices, are in the toilet, they really are sucking wind. So, yeah, we got to be concerned with Russia and understand that their interests are never aligned with ours, for the most part. Maybe we tried to imagine they were with Syria and ISIS and everything. But Russia's only interest there was maintaining their leverage and increasing it and not losing their military foothold there. That was their primary interest. We mirror our values and we mirror our interests on other countries. And so we imagined it somehow we're all in this fight against ISIS together. Horseshit. So yeah, China's a much bigger issue, and we should be focused on that. And to some degree, this administration is. So that's where I say, look, you can't just keep complaining and bitching and moaning because you don't like President Trump. There's certain things that are going on that you should be willing to say, that makes sense. Maybe I don't like the messenger, but that part of it makes sense.
Is it his personalized? I mean, was it because of his dealings with China from the business world that he understands it better? Or that he's more concerned with the imbalance of the trade?
I think what happened was, what do I know? This is speculation, so, hey. But I suspect that what happened was he came into it focused on the trade imbalance, right? And as he was sitting there and talking about the trade imbalance, more of the conversation from the National Security Council and from the agency and others in terms of saying, well, yeah, this is part of the reason why, and this is the long-term effects of their theft of intellectual property. This is why, in part, they've been successful in these areas. So I think there was probably more and more discussion talking about their economic espionage and theft of IP, and that became then an issue for him. But I think initially, and still to this day, I think the big issue is just he wants to try to create a win in terms of the trade imbalance.
Russia seems to us here domestically, speaking for myself, when I think about it and I think about the narrative that's been sort of delivered to us, is that Russia is this military danger. We're worried about Putin taking over other countries. We're worried about Putin's power, the way he kills dissidents, the way he kills political opponents and journalists. We think about China, and even with the Huawei arrests, we're like, no one seems to be concerned. It doesn't seem to light any bulbs over here.
Yeah. No, you're right. I don't know why that is, except, Putin's more like a thug.
He's a visual.
Right. Right. And also, I mean, look, he's been very clear about, wanting to try to rebuild the Soviet Union. So whether it's Crimea and the annexation of that, or whether taking over eastern Ukraine, or maintaining a position in Georgia, whatever it is, certainly, his attacks or the FSB's attacks overseas against, dissidents and others. He's just more in your face. He's like Tony Soprano, right? And so you can look at that. China's always been, sort of this thing, right? And look, China's fantastic. The history is amazing. The places are incredible. I think it's, we should be trading with China. We should be doing a huge amount of business with China. We should, clear the decks and try to the degree we can level the playing field. But we should also be pragmatic and realize what they do, in terms of their theft of IP. And so, because that probably won't change. But yeah, we absolutely should be dealing with China all the time. But I think that they've always kind of been viewed more in more of a sophisticated fashion, maybe, because Putin is just sort of in your face. And he's good at it. He's very successful. He's a smart son of a bitch. But I think he's pretty easy to read, right? He's thuggish, and he longs for those days of the Soviet Union. So we should understand that everything he does is because of that. It's because he would love to rebuild the Soviet Union. And so we shouldn't be surprised by any sort of aggressive move that he makes against his neighbors, and we should always push back. And to be fair, this administration, not to beat their drum, but the actions they've taken against Russia, despite the fact that you've got people calling him a puppet of Putin, are more significant than the previous administration took.
Like, what has he done?
The sanctions against key individuals and companies within Russia, as an example. Those are the toughest sanctions have been placed on Russia ever. The provision of weapons and assistance to the Ukrainians, right? That was something the previous administration said, no, not going to do that, because we don't want any blowback. That's a good thing, right? That should be done. Pushing back against them on the 2011 nuke deal. Right, on the START deal prior to the 2011 deal, and calling them out and saying, "Look, you're cheating on this, and you got to be held accountable." I mean, there's certain things there that make sense, and that don't add up. If you talk to somebody who says, "Well, he's an absolute puppet," and you say, "Well, okay, he's a puppet, so why is he doing certain things that seem counter to Russian interests?" And they'll say, "Well, because he's smart and he doesn't want to get caught out." Right? See, he's playing a long game here, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe who knows, but I haven't strapped on my tinfoil hat yet to get to that point, so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that seems like a complicated one if they have some compromising information about him. That was always the fear, right? Is that they knew something, or maybe it was business dealings, maybe it was people peeing on them, or something like that.
If they did, and again, anything, fucking hell, in today's world, anything's possible, right?
Right.
And I wish we had somebody else in there who was more elegant and eloquent and sophisticated. And
does anybody stand out?
Not right now. No.
I mean, bring up Dresden before and after the war.
Ooh.
And take a look at that. They say the middle of Dresden was as hot as the sun.
Jesus.
Speaking
Christ.
of 200 degrees, because of when the Allies bombed it. But just take a look at what it looked like before and after.
Ooh. We're so lucky we don't have to tolerate that kind of shit right now.
I remember who was the guy who wrote, oh God, where the monsters are, or I wrote a children's book. Was it called Where the Monsters Are?
I don't know.
And he was in the war, and he said, "Do you believe in God?" And he just casually said, "No, the war took care of that for me." I never forgot it. I was like, "Fuck." Yeah. He just died about 5 years ago.
I had Eddie Izzard on yesterday, and we were talking about wars of aggression, and that most likely we've seen the end of wars of aggression. Like
There's
people
Dresden.
trying to conquer new territory, like that World War II is probably the last one of those. Look at that, man. That's
so that was Dresden. Dresden looked like the surface of the moon.
Jesus
when
Christ.
they were really done with it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That lady got barbecued.
Yeah, it's hell.
That's horrific. Those are all bodies, man.
Yeah, there's Dresden. There
Christ.
You go. That beautiful.
Whoa. Go stop scrolling. Look at that. What the fuck, man?
Yeah. That's what war did. That's what World War II. It was the true destruction of old Europe.
Imagine what it would look like to watch those bombs hit and just level everything like that.
Well, it was carpet bombing. So civilians, the objective was actually to kill the German worker, to really bring that country to its knees. It was back when total devastation of the enemy was essentially a tactic. It was a horrible, horrible thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just, these images are so stunning. Oh, okay, this is afterwards.
Yet human beings rebuild, yet they prevail.
Yeah, and
yet
a few decades later, that's okay. But we were talking about yesterday was that we most likely have seen the end of these wars of conquest, where people are trying to take over new territories.
Right. Because territory is no longer a commodity. Now it's services, it's ideas, it's technologies, it's land in that sense.
Yeah, but I mean, the concept was that we're moving in a better direction, and that things are becoming less and less, at least overtly aggressive.
More people are able to see what's really going on, too.
And more people can communicate. I mean, this is really the only generation ever, like these last 2 or 3 generations, where you're able to easily translate anything that anyone's saying in any other country. Yeah. Like, how often do you go, like, I'll read, like, Khabib Nurmagomedov's Instagram page, and it's in Russian, and I'll translate it. And so I could read what he's saying. And I do that with a lot of his other fighters, too. I just hit the translate button.
Yeah.
Like, how dope is that?
Brings you closer to them.
Yeah. Well, dude, you get to know them,
yes.
And you see that they're pretty fucking similar, even though they're different. They're into family, and their worship, and their food, and their community.
They laugh.
Yeah. I mean, it's
humorous insults with each other.
If you live there, you'd be in that style of living too, and it's a hard place to live. So you got to be a tough motherfucker.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. But there's something predictable too about how to live. There's certain norms and practices, and there's.
Do you
think
a lane. That with Russia being run by Putin? That seems to me to be the last big country that might invade somebody. Like Russia being run by Putin, you could almost see him pulling a Crimea somewhere else in the world. You could almost see him.
I think Russia, and I think the history of Russia, I have not been there. I was there when I was very young, but I've not been there since. I have people who've gone there, and they actually really enjoy it. And it's, just great people, like great people. The Russian people who suffered maybe more than anybody in the 20th century, but great people and industrious and everything else. But I do think that
they're run by a gangster.
Well, but it's not just that they're run by a gangster, yes, but I think that sometimes the way a populace thinks about certain things can inform their destiny. Right? So think about this. If you were always invaded and you had a flat topography and tanks could roll in, German tanks or whatever it is, and you paid such a price for that. Again, I told you, when I went there in 1985, you didn't see any old men.
Yeah.
They were all killed. But aggression, male aggression, was what kept those Nazis at bay when they surrounded Leningrad, now St. Petersburg and stuff like that. There are a lot of stories of that. And I think that when you've been traumatized to the extent that Russia has been traumatized, certain strengths, the ability to stand up against aggression and to be brave and powerful, those become that becomes the commodity. That's the guy that gets all the money, all the women, all the whatever. And I think that's a product of their history. So Putin is an admired man. I bet you if Putin had very fair elections, he would get elected into power. He's respected.
Are you trying to say he doesn't have fair elections?
Yeah, well,
Is that what you're saying?
My larger point is
Are you on
this.
record?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, sir. I don't know anything about Russian elections, but I will say this. I don't know why you're putting words in my mouth. Why are those guys at the door? What the hell's going on?
He would get elected anyway.
I think
Just
so.
because people love him.
So
But what if he allowed open criticism of him?
Well, there is open criticism, believe it or not.
Sure, the guys who get shot. They
No,
were openly criticizing and then they get shot.
There is a press that actually is critical.
Right. But
it's not.
They've killed journalists.
Yes, it's not a threat to his power.
Well, how many journalists have been murdered?
I don't know, but enough. Poisoned and all kinds of weird shit.
Google journalists critical of Putin murdered.
Also, his supporters will beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
So what I'm saying is that I think
What are you saying?
I think Russia needs to embrace a softer strengths.
Are you a foreign policy advisor now?
Yes, I am. This is a philosophy I have. This is my philosophy. Ready?
Okay.
So my philosophy is this. This country is a great country and our culture is an interesting culture. Why?
Why?
Because not only are we representative of hard strengths, the military, the NFL, the
Eagles.
fucking UFC, all that shit. The what?
Eagles.
And Eagles.
Fucking bald
You're right.
eagle, bro.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Canada's fucking national anthem is the beaver.
Well, Russia has a bear.
Okay. But so Americans, again, are very aggressive. But you know what America's secret is? We've also provided safe quarter to our gentler spirits.
What is this? Violent deaths of journalists started in the Yeltsin era. Okay. So they've just been doing that
Yes.
forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's just like presidents just do that in Russia.
Always have.
Murder, crossfire, terrorist act. In 2008, there were 6 of those.
Dude,
Murder only, there was another 6.
listen.
2 of them were brought to trial.
Look at me right now. Putin is Gandhi. Putin is Gandhi compared to Khrushchev. Gandhi compared to Stalin. Gandhi compared to Lenin. Gandhi compared to anybody who was in power before him. Those guys used to kill wholesale. I mean, and that's a fact, up to their elbows in blood.
Who was that guy that got murdered recently that was running? It was a political opponent. They shot that dude down. So when his death was not related to the journalist's work, the conviction rate exceeds 90%. What?
They put him in jail too, if they don't just kill him.
When the death, what is that quote though? When the death was not related to the journalist's work, the conviction. So you're talking about rates of conviction.
Yeah, yeah,
oh, okay,
yeah.
that was a weird quote.
Yeah.
Oh, rates of conviction are very high. Yeah, of course.
So the guy with the biggest
railroad
gun
you.
in that society
They do that
holds
in
all
this
the
country
power.
too, though.
Nah, but-
Espionage, those kind of trials.
Yeah.
You're going straight to the pokey, son. Do not pass go. Good luck with your trial.
That's true.
The judge was like, yeah, I listened to you. 20 years. Fuck off.
But aggressive
hole.
part of the world, United States, like Russia. However,
We're smarter.
no,
We're better looking?
No,
We're
we
funnier.
protect
We're funnier.
our.
We-
We
hey,
protect
hey.
our.
Funnier.
Why are we funnier?
Because we're better.
That's not too
'Cause we
general,
have
sir.
LeBron James at the Comedy Store.
Sir,
on
you're being
Saturday
too
night.
general. Sir, you're being too general. This is a quiz.
Why?
We're
'Cause
better
We're free.
because we have protections
Right.
for the people on the fringes, our creatives, our weirdos, our fashionistas, all the people that make our culture interesting. Stephen Jobs wasn't good at CrossFit.
No, he's good at yelling at employees.
Yeah, either was Mohandas K. Gandhi and Martin Luther King, but we provide. At least there was due recourse. At least we know that there are softer strengths that have to be protected. It makes you more interesting and it makes you more creative and stronger. You got to be innovative.
Yes.
Your innovators are weirdos.
Yes.
Like Leonardo da Vinci apparently was gay.
What?
I said it.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Guess what?
What?
There are a lot of very smart Like in Russia, if you're gay, it's not that safe for you.
Right. You get tossed off a building.
Yeah. So what you do is when you do that with people who are creative, and you marginalize a group of people because they're different in the name of purity or whatever.
Didn't they
you're
make
fucked.
some like really weird public statement about homosexuality, like the law in Russia? Like, is homosexuality illegal in Russia?
Well, a lot of times they're equated with pedophiles. The LGBT community has real trouble there, and it's hard to get apartments. It's more subtle. It's hard to just live and make a living. So what happens is all those creative people who could be contributing and coming up with beautiful ideas, they're marginalized as perverts, deviants, and that's the dumbest.
Meek. The meek don't get to inherit the earth.
The meek, a lot of times, are the people that provide you your fucking goodies.
Russian gay propaganda law. For the purpose of protecting children from information advocating for a denial of traditional family values. Whoa.
Yep.
The gay propaganda law and the anti-gay law, the bill that was unanimously approved by the State Duma on 11th of June 2013. Holy shit, man.
So you want to protect children from exposure to, homo activity.
Yeah, and it was signed into law by President Vladimir Putin on the 30th of June 2013. Yeah. How long is he going to be president for?
So let me ask you a better question. So with those kind of laws that marginalize anybody that's not normal, quote unquote, that's not traditional, prototypical male, female.
Right.
Awesome. When was the last time you bought, and I'll wait, when was the last time you bought one Russian product? Please. Besides the fact that they're essentially a one-crop economy, which is oil, and I guess some other commodities. What happens is you kill all your creativity. What happens is you are not a strong country. Your weaponry isn't even good. That's the irony of all this shit.
Right.
When you have that mindset and you have one idea of what strength is, you're going to be fucking weak and you're not going to be creative.
Is a Kalashnikov a good rifle?
It's a very good rifle.
They make some good shit.
Designed in 1957, I believe.
Oh, what does it say? 2012, previously holding the position from 2000 to 2008. So he's been... Right now, he's on 7 years in office.
He's a czar, sir. He's been longer than that.
Yeah, but I mean 7 now, currently. And then he did it 8 years before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't even take 4 years off. When he took 4 years off, he was like running shit from behind. He's got to look like, I'll kill you. Like, he's like, I will kill you.
Yeah, he's a black belt in judo, right?
Definitely kill you. Yeah, legit black belt in judo.
Yeah.
Like, he can actually throw people around.
Probably smart as fuck.
Yeah.
And in his mind... Putin is running a country that requires a strong man.
Yeah.
It's who they respect.
Right.
So he's caught in that too. Right. Even if he agreed
if you're the king
with
of the world,
saying,
let's say you're the king of the world, how do you fix Russia?
You come at them with you present an idea, the idea I just presented, which is the idea that you might want to protect the people that you consider to be queers, deviants, and weirdos, nerds, or whatever they are, because those people a lot of times are your creatives. I don't know why, but they are.
So do you think they lived in too much of a wartime culture for too long?
I do.
And that they developed this hardness to them that's why they're lacking in the creativity and the innovation. And
I don't think they can
sense.
afford that. And I think that a lot of times when you've been traumatized, that you're dealing still with the residue and the trauma of World War I and World War II. And that's very real. And and also, by the way, communism and having nothing. And they have strong communities. I mean, my friend went to Russia and said everybody was nice to him. Fucking, they're good people. And they're innovative people and they're creative. Look at how good they are at boxing. Anything the Russians put their mind to, that they hold value for, like strengths, like MMA, like boxing, look at how good they are. So they're incredibly industrious, disciplined, smart people.
Is it hard to get weed over there?
I'm sorry?
How do you get weed over there?
I don't know.
I bet you don't.
I bet if you have money, you get everything you want.
Right, if you got money.
Yeah, if you're connected to the oligarchy. But
when people talk about Russia collusion, and they talk about, we kind of lost our way, right? And, everybody's kind of guilty of it, whether it's Mueller and his investigative team, or whether it's Congress, or whether it's just the general public. We all kind of lost our way over the past couple of years, imagining somehow that the big story here was Trump's collusion, right? Well, that was a political dodge, right? That was a shell game that was being played on us. It was, the big story is, what did Russia specifically do, right? What exactly did they do? How did they do it? How successful were they? Show us some case studies of specific examples. That's what an investigative team should have been doing for 2 years. And then deliver that information and keep throwing it out at the public and keep talking to the public about it. I guarantee you, the GRU and others, the FSU in the intel services in Russia, they're happy that we didn't do that, right? Because again, they've been advancing, they've been improving their capabilities. They're going to do it again. So I guess that's why I keep beating on this, is that I don't think we really focused our attention where we needed to, because we all get lost in this political bullshit. And
well, I feel like this is the most easily manipulated we've ever been as a culture. Like, I think it's so easy to spin these narratives and to get people upset about anything.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of these are test cases. Like, they're trying to see, like, what happens when we spin up this story? How outraged do they get at that story? Like,
Well, look at this. Look at the issue of racism. Look at. I mean, that thing gets thrown out there now to the point where it's. I hate to say it, but it's almost losing its meaning in a sense, right? They just keep hammering away, and anybody they disagree with, and I'm talking about the hard left, progressives, you're a racist, right? It's not possible that you could possibly disagree on policy, right? Like the whatever, that's a squad, AOC and her compadres.
Right.
I don't give a shit about where they're from. I care about the fact that their policies, from my perspective, other people I'm sure love them, are screwed up. And
what's screwed up about their policies?
Well, I'm not a democratic socialist, right? So I have a problem with everything from, you look at the Green New Deal, right? And this idea that we're going to roll this out and fuck the economic impact. Or I don't think they even thought about the economic impact. I think what they're doing is they're playing to their a base, and they're doing it successfully, and people hear about it, and everybody wants to be righteous. Everybody wants to think, sure, if I care about the environment, let's get rid of emissions. That'll be a great idea. And whether it's that or open borders, and the idea that somehow we're, do I think we're running concentration camps down south? No, I don't think. I think that's fucked up. That's the terminology that we would have, right, for detainment centers. And you know what? You want to make it better? Well, great. Let's actually do what your job is. Let's make some changes to the immigration rules and to asylum laws. Let's put some more money down there and make conditions a little bit better. There's things that we could, in terms of concrete steps, but we don't seem to want to do that. We seem to want to just throw shit around at each other, but the open borders thing is worrisome.
Well, there's a guy named John Norris who's just on my friend Steve Rinnella's podcast. It's called the Meat Eater Podcast, and he's a warden. He's a game warden, and one of the things that they had to deal with somewhere along the line was they had to become enforcers for illegal drug marijuana growing these establishments in public lands, in national parks. So these guys that were supposed to be just catching people with too many trout on their stringer are now being forced to stop illegal grow ops, and it's all cartel members. And what he's saying is that 80 to 90% of all of the marijuana that gets sold illegally in this country, in the Midwest and all these different places where it's illegal, is coming out of these grow ops. And a lot of it is tainted with dangerous pesticides because these guys are they're actually using poisons to keep animals from eating the marijuana.
Right.
And so these kids that or whoever the fuck is buying it, they're buying this pot from these illegal places. No one's testing this stuff. You don't know what the fuck you're getting, and you very well could be smoking pot that's poisoning you.
Yeah, there's a guy that I know, a really good guy. He's a huge landowner here in California, to the point where you can spend all day on an ATV and still not, get to the end of one of his plots of land. I don't know if you call it a plot of land. And anyway, he's had those incidents, right?
Yes.
He's had where it's such a massive piece of property that a small element from a cartel will set up a grow spot there, and they'll camouflage it. It's very well done.
Yeah.
They bring in the piping for the water because pot uses a huge amount of water.
This
right?
guy was talking about water that they brought in. They had a pipe that went for 3 miles.
Yeah.
These kids carried it in on their back.
Yeah, that's what these guys do, and then eventually, you got to go in there and bust it up. But it's people that stumble across it that they're just out there doing their regular ranching job, and it is fascinating. I
I feel like we should take those guys and reprogram them. You get a guy who's willing to carry 100 pounds of piping on his back and walk 8 miles into the backwoods. That's a fucking industrious individual.
Yeah.
You gotta lure him away from the cartel with a better deal.
Yeah.
If that guy worked for a competing corporation, he'd be like, "Look, I like the way you do business."
Right. Give him a job on the ranch.
Right,
Give him a job.
Sprint found this guy and he was working for Verizon. They'd be like, "Hey, come on over here, man. You're fucking putting in the time." This guy's carrying 3 miles of hose on his back.
That's work. That's what we call
fucking
work.
real work.
Yeah. So use that. Use your power for good, not evil. That's what I tell my boys.
It's hard though, because evil's fun, I think.
It's
Getting away with
in the
something.
short term, it could be more lucrative. Yeah,
Yeah,
from their
right.
perspective, there is that.
And they have a record, and they're probably murderers.
Right,
There's
well,
a lot of
okay.
reasons.
All right, so maybe we're not talking about someone you're going to hire as a landscaper there at your home, but your point is
Open borders are not a good idea.
Open borders
That's the
not a
point.
good idea.
There's a lot of bad people that are getting in already.
And it's not a stretch. This is not, if anybody who imagines this to be a stretch or is going to take offense at this, every nation maintains borders. Every nation maintains some element of immigration controls and borders protection. The idea that we shouldn't, or that we should somehow feel exceptionally bad about it is I don't quite understand that mentality.
Well, we should feel bad when we see someone who's just a poor mother who's trying to come over to America to get a better job because she's stuck in Guatemala and it sucks over there and there's no opportunity whatsoever for her to excel.
Right.
That's a different animal than someone who is a member of some fucking terrible cartel gang that comes over here. The question is, how do we differentiate and how do we make it so that that woman who's a mom can come over here?
Right.
How do we make
Right.
it so it's legal? That's the real question. It's
Well, and
not-
that's not what but that's not what they're addressing,
Right.
right? You know, how many decades now have we, heard about immigration controls and immigration process and regulations and policy, and nothing ever gets done. And so maybe, and again, I think one of the things that's interesting about Trump is, as strange as it is, the environment. I mean, maybe the fact that he is disruptive and sometimes doesn't seem to give a shit. Maybe that's a good thing because it gets us talking and gets us talking in areas that we haven't before and in ways that we haven't before. So maybe that results in something. Maybe, like the Chinese, the public's just going to wait for him to go and then we'll get back to business as usual. That may happen.
But even business as usual, the concern is like, how do you differentiate between someone who's coming in illegally because they want a better life versus someone who's coming in illegally because they're literally going to commit murder and sell fentanyl and deal,
Right.
incredible harm to whatever community they wind up in, and they're a member of MS-13, and there's both things that are going on at the same time. And you're a heartless person if you don't want that lady with a child from Guatemala to come over here and do better. And she's
Right.
probably going to work as hard, if not harder, than any good old-fashioned red-blooded American that's over here trying to make their way through this world. And why should we be able to have this opportunity when they can't?
Yeah.
One of the beautiful things about America, right, is that like if you're a poor person and you live in Baltimore, you can get your shit together and get out, and you can move to maybe Silicon Valley, or you can move somewhere where there's more prosperity, there's more opportunity, and you can get
I'm
something.
sorry. Are there poor people in Baltimore?
I heard there are.
Okay,
I heard there's
I got to pay attention.
some sort of there's a word.
know.
What is the word he used? Infestation.
infestation, a rat
fuck it.
infestation.
Yeah, you can't use infestation when you're talking about certain neighborhoods. People get mad. Even though he said infested with crime and rats, you're racist.
Doesn't matter. The key here is, and it's a Democratic talking point, right? I mean, this is a strategy, and that's fine. Both parties use different strategies,
Sure.
and but the Dems have obviously decided in this period of time, because it's so intense, there was clearly discussions within wherever the DNC or elsewhere that this is our policy. We are
Yes.
going to push this, and you just keep hammering that word, racist,
Right,
racist,
right.
no matter what, and it's going to stick, and it does,
Yes.
because you get hit by that hammer, and you're staring into the light. You don't know how to respond.
Sure.
Right. So, and you think, oh my God, I'm not a racist, but then you're like, Senator, you're still beating your wife, and so it's one of those things you can't answer. But I think it's bullshit because it's like calling everybody a Nazi.
Right.
It loses its importance and its meaning, and Anyway, it's a strange time, but I think you can do both. You can take care of that woman with the kid or kids, and you can also look at the issue of border security, right, and enhance your ability to understand who's coming across the border.
Right.
It costs money and it requires effort. but you can do both.
I think you can do both, but I think the real big picture, like if you had to look at the solution objectively, the real problem is Mexico has like real economic situations that we don't have here in America. They're far worse off in a lot of the areas, and as is Guatemala, as is neighbor El Salvador. All neighboring countries are economically devastated. Until they are not, until they come up and until they experience prosperity, you're always going to have people that are committing crime because they want to try to get by, and you're always going to have people that are going to want to try to get to America because it's a place where there's more opportunity. That's the real issue. The real issue is that it's so much better over here.
Right, and that makes sense, and you get the same thing with immigration and movement of people over in Europe coming up from wherever,
which is the Brexit argument, right?
Which is the Brexit argument in part. I mean, it's not just based around immigration, but it's more control of your own nation's security and destiny, et cetera. But I think that's you could argue that national security, from a U.S. perspective, would warrant improving your ability to impact nations like Guatemala, El Salvador, wherever, and working with Mexico to not just improve sort of the security, the liaison that goes on and improving that, but you're right. I mean, working conditions, criminal, or crime and instability, that's in our national security. I know people get very upset. They say, why should we give countries money?
Right.
Well, in part, you're right. I mean, sometimes you give them money and it just goes down some shithole, and it doesn't, and I don't mean, I'm not talking about the country. I'm just talking literally, it goes into a hole and it never comes back.
Gets it in corruption, and they absorb it at the highest levels of government.
Yeah. And so there's no controls over how that money is spent. There's no metrics to say whether it's spent wisely at the end of the day. So but I would argue that, I agree. I mean, it's in our national security interest when we're talking about border security, immigration, to view that as sort of the top line issue. Mm-hmm. Why are they on the move? Right? Well, like you said, they're on the move because they want a better life, because where they're at ain't good.
Yes.
How do you work with them? And that's I think people sometimes look at that and think, well, that's pushing a rock up a hill. It's never going to happen. And so maybe they just stop, right? But we've ignored Latin America, Central America, South America for decades, right? Which is how we ended up in part with Chavez and Maduro to follow and some of the horseshit that went on down there, because we ignored it. We didn't give it the resources. We didn't give it the attention. We didn't treat it seriously as a national security concern. We were all focused on wherever, improving relations in Southeast Asia or elsewhere. So, we need to refocus. And I think ultimately, do we see it immediately? No. But I think so anyway, it's,
Well, it's so clever because it's so comprehensive. There's so much involved in it. And the fact that they're willing to do this for years and years before they really sort of activate the political aspect of what they're trying to do. It also, it's strange that they're so sophisticated about our culture, because we don't know a goddamn thing about Russia. The average person knows Putin bad, evil warlord. Crimea, he invade. We have like a 4-year-old's understanding. Like if you just grabbed a random person on the street, college educated person, and asked them to describe what's so bad about Russia. Wow, it's like communist over there or something, man. I mean, they hate us. First of all, they have bombs. Like there's so little understanding of their culture, but yet they know so much about ours. That's one of the weird things about being an American. When you travel overseas and you realize how much they know about our elections, how much they know. We don't even know who the fuck is running their country. We don't have any idea. But they know about Trump, and they know that Hillary did this, and they know that Bernie wants to give the money away. And, it's crazy. Yeah. It's weird. And these people must have like a deep education on American culture, American politics, Do you think they're training these kids?
Yeah, absolutely. So they did a couple things that came out in the Mueller indictment. First of all, a couple of people actually came here and did a road trip around America.
Oh, wow, just to learn?
Went to Texas.
Wow.
Basically.
Hello, Texas. You tell me where you keep the beef jerky.
But that's that was in the in one of the, I think the Mueller indictment of from February 2018. There have been 3 kind of big documents that have come out, 2 from Eastern District and 1 from Mueller on how it all worked out. I think another misconception is this notion of $100,000 in ads. They spent $18 million in 2017, I believe, was the stat that came out during another one of the Mueller indictments. So they're not just, the money is not just going for the salaries and the ad buys. The money is also going for, they were talking about using kind of consultants. And this is where you get at this thing that comes out during the stand-up where they're like, black people who are LGBT don't want to see white LGBT memes. And this degree of granularity, the degree of sophistication, but then also what you see them doing is engaging one-on-one. And that's where it crosses the line from social media operation to this is much more like spying. Did you watch The Americans?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I love that show. You should definitely watch it.
I heard it's great.
It's great.
There's too many things to watch.
Totally. But what's interesting is it does paint a pretty interesting picture of like this couple under deep cover that are engaging with and pretending to be Americans and forming relationships.
And apparently
with
it's
people.
based loosely on real people.
Yeah, that's what I've read also. But what you see in the Mueller indictment is the text messages, is the messenger, the Facebook Messenger messages, where they're going back and forth with real activists, and they're saying things like, hey, my ad account got shut down. Can you run some ads for me? Or the, hey, I want to help your protest. We're fellow Black Lives Matter activists, and we see you're running a protest up in, I think it was like Ithaca or something, Binghamton. How can we help you? We can give you some money for posters. And they're sending money for posters. Or they reach out to a Trump supporter and they say, like, we think it'd be really funny to have a Hillary Clinton impersonator sitting in a truck, flatbed truck that's made up to look like a jail. Let us, if we give you some money, will you find the Hillary Clinton impersonator and put her in jail and do this Hillary for prison thing? And so this is where another thing that they did was using Facebook events to create real-world protests. So they're not limiting it to shitposting online and making people feel tension online. They're actually sending people out into the real world to have in-street violence. And so one of the things that they did was they coordinated a Facebook event, one for the Texas secessionist page and one for there was a pro-Muslim called United Muslims. And on the same day, at the same time, in Texas, they have a rally to support Texas culture and resist the Islamicization of Texas across the street from a rally to defend Muslim culture. And so there's literally no, they just create these Facebook events on these pages and then they promote them with ad dollars and other things. And you literally, if you go and you look at the Texas reporting from that day, I don't remember if it was dozens or hundreds, but a sufficient number of people showed up that they had literally on opposite sides of barricades, police officers in the center screaming at each other because one group is there for the resist the Islamicization of Texas and the other group is there to like defend Muslim culture. And so you get two opposite sides of the spectrum in the same place at the same time and you literally incite like a mini riot. So there were about 81 of these events where they were holding Black Lives Matter style rallies for victims of violence, police violence, memorials for people who were killed by police officers, things that real Americans would do, but this wasn't being done by real Americans. And that's the insidious thing, right? Is how does Facebook detect that? How do you, when you see this come to defend Texas culture and you're a diehard proud Texan, you're not thinking like somebody in St. Petersburg is organizing this. And that's I think that the idea that this was just some memes is just not. It doesn't respect the significance of what they were trying to do and how effective that they were with these other things. Or even if they're just trying it out just a little bit, just working to see what works, they're always experimenting. They're always trying to find ways to create that tension. And that's the thing that I think is so interesting about this, right? This evolving, this idea of an information war where these tactics evolve, and you are really at a disadvantage when it comes to actually detecting them.
Yeah, and on the outside, if you're looking at that, you'd say, well, okay, what is their objective? Why would they have this Texas secessionist page across or a rally across the street from a pro-Islam rally? Why would they do that? If you're on the outside, you think about the amount of effort that's involved in doing something like this. And they're also doing this with no leaders, right? There's no one there that's running it when they get there.
Yeah.
So all the pro-Texas people go, here we are. Look at over there. It's the motherfucking enemy.
I think a couple times there were comments on some of the like archived pages and things where you could see the screenshots of people being like, dude, you let us all come out there and like nobody showed up.
Right. Well,
Who was in charge? You know,
they're probably throwing a lot of things against the wall, hoping that they stick.
hoping something sticks. Well, you see this on the there was a page called Black Matters, and Black Matters was interesting because they went and made a whole website. So they made a website, blackmattersus.com, which I think is still active. It's dormant; they're not updating it, but I believe you can go and read it. And it was designed to call attention to police brutality type things. And so they had this Black Matters US page. And then there's the Black Matters Facebook page, the Twitter account, the Instagram page, the YouTube channel, the SoundCloud podcast, the Tumblr, the Facebook stickers. They had Facebook stickers that looked like little black panthers, like little little cats. Yeah, little black cats. They were actually really cute, very well done. So you have this entire fake media ecosystem that they've just created out of whole cloth, all theirs. And then what they start to do is they start to put up job ads. And so it's come be a designer for us, come write for us, come photograph our protests, come, they have like a kind of like black guy dressed in a cool outfit, like hipster, holding a sign like Join Black Matters. You see them go through a couple different logos the same way you would if you were starting a, media brand. They start posting ads for, do you want to be a calendar girl? Send us your photos. Do you want to be on a black reality TV show? Send us video clips of you. They begin to do real work to ingratiate themselves with the community. They had a physical fitness thing. It was called Black Fist. And the idea was that it was kind of vaguely militant-esque in that it was supposed to teach black people how to handle themselves at protests, should there be police violence, how to fight back. And they actually went and found a guy, a physical fitness, a martial arts guy, and they were paying him via PayPal. So he was running classes for the black community under this Black Fist brand, and they would like text him or call him. He played some of the voicemails on TV. Actually, I heard them after my report came out. I think they tracked him down and he just talks about how they just PayPal'd him, a couple $100 every time he ran a fitness class.
What were the voicemails like?
It was
hello, we are fellow black men concerned about police.
You'd be you'd be surprised. They actually had a YouTube channel with two black men named Williams and Calvin, and there was this channel, Williams and Calvin, and
they were actual black men.
Actual
So they
black men.
hired these gentlemen.
They hired these guys to be a fake YouTube channel. And it was called A Word of Truth, I think was what the name of it. And so Williams and Calvin, these two guys, would give their word of truth. And their word of truth was usually about, how fucked up America is, which, I mean, there are very real grievances underlying all of this, and that's the problem, right? They have things to exploit.
Were they writing these things for these gentlemen?
I imagine they were.
But they were definitely paying them, and they organized the channel.
Seems likely. The channel's organized, yeah.
So these guys...
that particular one, I think that they were in on it. They knew what they were doing.
Oh, really? They knew they were working for the Russians?
One of the guys who was in that channel popped up again in 2018, right before the midterms, like maybe even the day before. I'm trying to remember the timeline here. And he made a different video saying he wanted to, this was amazing, saying he wanted to leave the Internet Research Agency, kind of. So he was saying, basically, I'm tired of doing this work. I want to do a leak. I want to show you all of the things that the Internet Research Agency has done. And so they actually put out this guy who had been in the Williams and Calvin video, so people recognized his face, in the 2018 midterms goes and says he wants to leave and he's going to leak all this information. And sorry, this damn cough. And he wants to like confess. I don't remember all the specifics because it was right before my thing came out and I was so busy working. But yeah, he pops up again and he's saying he like wants to expose the truth. And I think most people didn't cover it, didn't pay attention. YouTube shut down the channel and deleted the video immediately.
Why did they do that?
I think that it was seen as another influence operation. You don't trust the
So even him
intentions.
saying that he's going to expose it was probably just another level.
Well, what wound up coming out, this was, this is so convoluted. I'm sorry. I know it's like hard to explain without visuals. What they wound up doing was they did drop a bunch of docs. So they did release a pile of documents in which they claimed they actually hacked the Mueller investigation and Mueller had nothing. And so this is, again, another kind of convoluted piece of this where they do release information. And so in this particular example, they release information that we believe they actually got through legal discovery. So the documents that the investigation provided to one of the indicted Russians were the documents that they then leaked, claiming they had hacked the Mueller investigation. So they're constantly doing these things to generate press, generate attention, create just that degree of people don't know what's real, or they read the headlines that are then released by the more propagandist, overt Russian propaganda, and they think that that is the true story, that the Russians hacked the Mueller investigation. So there's always this, how do we create fear, uncertainty, and doubt? How do we throw people off? How do we come up with these extremely convoluted spy games that leave people feeling unbalanced, that make people wonder what they can trust, who they can trust, and what's real? And even as somebody who looks at this stuff, day in and day out for years, I do still regularly get surprised by the sheer kind of ballsiness and ingenuity of some of the stuff as it comes to light.
He's like, yeah, motherfucker, what the fuck are you doing? He goes, you think this is a bad neighborhood? And he goes, I just put on a Russian accent. Everyone's scared of me. He's like, Russians are the scariest white people.
They're definitely not regular white people.
And the women are the worst.
Are they?
Russian women?
Yeah.
They will fucking cut you and laugh at your bleeding.
Whoa.
They're merciless. My mom, my grandma, they do not fuck around.
But they're from the old country. What about Russian women that you encounter today?
They're worse because they're liberated, so they're ruthless.
Kind of hot, though.
They're very hot. Crazy in the head, crazy in the bed, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like
But
them.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
What?
That band that the documentary was, they got arrested.
Pussy Riot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pussy Riot, yeah. They're
Those
crazy.
bitches are loped. I got a free Pussy Riot t-shirt. I don't even know what they did wrong, but I'm wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
It's ballsy to criticize Putin.
Oh, yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
that is. I don't care if you're a band or you're a journalist, like whatever you're doing. That guy has killed a lot of people.
Yeah, and laughs about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the Super Bowl ring story?
No.
You don't know that
Oh,
story?
I want to hear this.
Google it so I don't fuck up the stats, because Sturgill Simpson actually told me this. There was a Super Bowl winner who visited Putin, and as he's talking to Putin, Putin asks him to see the ring. He's got the Super Bowl ring. And Putin holds on to it, puts it on his finger, and walks away.
Oh, my God.
And then the guy starts going, hey, what the fuck? And Putin's bodyguards put their hand on the guy like, no, it's over.
Oh, my God.
You got your fucking ring.
On a business mission with my friend Sandy Weil. We had just given out our rings. I showed Sandy my ring, and he said, why don't you show it to the president? And I showed it to him, and he put it on, and he sort of enjoyed it, so he kept it on.
That's his version of it there. There's a version of it in an actual article that's more detailed, where he talks about how he asked for it back, and they were like, no.
Here's what happened. The other thing is how he trolled Angela Merkel. You know this story?
No.
Angela Merkel is head of Chancellor of Germany. She's terrified of dogs. So he brings out his giant, black lab, which are the sweetest breed. And there's photos. Look up Merkel Putin dog. And she's sitting there terrified to look at it. And the dog's sniffing her. It's like a lab. And he's just sitting there fucking laughing like an asshole. And he's like, oh, I didn't know she was scared of dogs. I'm like, how many world leaders are you bringing your dog out to meet other than her? And the body language on her. Yeah, look at her. She's freaking the fuck out.
Oh, look at her.
And look at him,
trust
like a
people that are
boss.
scared of dogs either, by the way.
And a lab? Come on.
Yeah. Fucking weird
Look at
lady.
her. She's like,
Yeah. No, it's probably farting on her.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
He's an asshole.
He's it's very strange what he's been able to do.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the assassination attempt where the guy drove into his car, full clip, changed lanes on the highway, and went into the oncoming lane, into the fast lane on the other side, full clip, slammed into his car and killed his driver, but he wasn't in the car?
Oh my God, no!
Oh, it's wild.
Holy shit!
It's wild. It was an assassination attempt, and they just didn't know that he wasn't in the car. But the fact they were able to cut through the lanes, get into the center where they have access to the oncoming lanes, and pick his car out of all the cars. I mean, it had to be coordinated with someone.
Right, because there's got to be a motorcade.
Right, because they're going.
Oh yeah, here.
Watch.
Wow.
Oh, that's it already.
It just keeps running it by.
Oh, but just do it from the beginning.
Right, the beginning wasn't good.
Well, there's a better version of it then. There's a better version of it out there. And the better version of it, you see the guy change lanes, boom, and slam in. And had to know that that's where his car was. Killed him, killed the driver, but Putin was not in the car. But it was Putin's car.
He's magic.
Well, he just knew probably something was up. I mean, he must have a bunch of people feeding him information all the time.
Course.
I mean, how many assassination attempts have there been on that guy?
Well, I mean, what about the assassination attempts on the presidents that we don't hear about? Both Obama and Trump. There have been plenty.
Really?
Yes.
Like what ones?
Look at, I mean, they just...
On Trump?
Yes.
Really? Already?
Of course, yes.
I haven't heard anything.
Of course, because they don't want to talk about it, because then he's the victim. And also, you don't want to give these people attention, in all fairness. So I think that's a good move to be like, all right, let's not talk about this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to talk about when terrorist attacks are foiled, because then they'll know, okay, this doesn't work. We're going to try it a different way. So that's smart of the press, I think.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's been able to run Russia for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had his number. It was like Teddy Roosevelt and Taft. He had his number 2. There was term limits. He goes, "You're going to be president now." He's like, "Okay, I'm done. Now I'm going to be back in." The guy's like, "Okay, here you go, Mr. Putin."
But that's what's crazy is he got back in and everybody's like, okay.
And his approval ratings are like 70%, something crazy. There's some huge number. The Russians love him.
Do they love him or do they say they love him because they're scared?
No, Russians love aggression. We love someone who is nasty and an asshole.
Siberia's always been an interesting place.
Have you been to Russia?
No.
I've been.
No. Have you?
Yeah.
What'd you do up there?
1990.
Yeah?
Right before communism fell. I was there for 3 weeks.
Whoa, before communism fell.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
Gorbachev was in power.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was
Are you a
just,
spy?
Yeah. Привет, как дела? Я не понимаю, пожалуйста.
Wow, that's pretty good. What'd you say?
I said, hello, I don't understand. Please and thank you. That's the words I remember. It was this program founded by Dwight D. Eisenhower in the 40s. It's called People to People, where they send the youth of America to other countries to hang out with that youth to promote world peace, and that's all it is. And certain kids from high schools are selected, and you go to Washington D.C. first for 3 days. They debrief you, and then you go to another country. And ours was Russia. It was awesome. I had a great time.
Wow.
Yeah. And I told Bert Kreischer that too, because he has the whole machine story. I said, I feel like I can't tell my Russian story because you've owned it so much with your machine story that if I do anything about this, then it's going to look like, oh, okay, you too, huh? Yeah, you got a Russian story.
Dude, you should tell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want to hear it. They'll understand. They don't think you're a thief.
I kind of got in trouble because I was trading illegally on the black market over there.
What were you doing?
Not on purpose. I didn't know I was doing it. Because, it's
likely
before,
story.
Right.
If I was a cop, I'd be like, tell me more.
That's kind of what happened. This dude I was talking to, it was after like a function that we were at, where you would go to some town, some village, and they'd come in, they'd greet you with bread and salt, and they would dance around, and you would just eat with them and hang out or whatever. And so I was just talking to this kid, they speak perfect English, We're the ones that don't speak Russian. So this kid's trying to teach me Russian cuss words, and I thought he's pretty cool. It's before the internet, So I had a bunch of these ink pens that my mom gave me from a phone company where she worked. She goes, just give them ink pens. They love anything with English writing on it. Anything American, they're going to love it. Bubblegum, jeans, ink pens. So I was like, yeah, dude, let's be pen pals. So exchanging addresses, like, I'll keep in touch with you. Why not? And I give him a pen, and he gives me his address. And what I don't know is this dude's already kind of in trouble with cops over there for trading illegally on the black market. I had no idea. And this cop just grabbed both of us, drags us into the hotel. And no one saw me from my group get grabbed, by the way, because I was off doing my own little thing with this dude, right? Learning Russian cuss words. So we go into his office in this hotel, and they're just cussing each other in Russian, and I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm like, dude, what is this? Am I in big trouble here? I mean, he goes, this is bullshit. It's not worried about that. This is bullshit. And they scream some more. Now, the cop doesn't speak English. And so he's basically my translator, this guy is, to the cop. I'm like, hey, man, I'm with this group. I don't know what's going on. And so he kicks that kid out, the Russian cop. And now it's just me and this Russian cop. And I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and he looks at my bag with all these ink pens. And he's like, he goes like this. He's like, let me see, He's like, oh, you want a pen? So I hand him a pen, and he looks at it. He's like, oh, cool. And he puts it in his desk, and he goes away, and he comes back with this big-ass Russian pendant sickle and hammer thing with wings coming out of it. It's a pretty cool-looking thing. And he just handed it to me. And he goes like this. So he technically arrested me for trading, and then he traded with me. Yeah. 1990s when that happened. It was pretty crazy. It was fun to see all that shit, though, right before it fell.
Did you see like lines in the street for food or anything crazy like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw Lenin's. We went to Red Square, Lenin's tomb. We went to some smaller little danky villages. Went swimming in the Dnieper River right close to where Chernobyl was, like 50 miles from Chernobyl.
Whoa.
So, but yeah, you definitely tell there was definitely some poverty going on here and there, but not to the extreme that you hear. I didn't see like these lines around buildings for toilet paper or anything like that. But that's when communism was on its way out too. So it wasn't in the worst part of it. But it was definitely an experience. I was 18 when I went over there. There's a picture of me in Red Square, and I got acid wash jeans. I got a Bugle Boy T-shirt on, and I'm wearing a fanny pack with deck shoes, and I'm just doing like this.
Nice.
So it was fun, man.
Yeah, that's got to be a hell of a flight too, right? How long does it take to get to Russia?
We went to Germany first on a layover there for like 3 hours, Frankfurt, and then God, I was so young. I couldn't even tell you how long that thing was. It's been a long time. 47 now.
That is an interesting country to me. It's always been an interesting country because it gets so fucking cold, and so they're hard people. But